Hi dear Sagittarius, welcome to my YouTube channel, and in this video I'm going to talk about the transits for the month of April. This year, April is quite busy because we've got a solar eclipse in Aries, and also we've got a Mercury retrograde in Aries, and also the rare conjunction of Uranus and Jupiter, and finally towards the end of April we've got a full moon in Scorpio. And so generally, dear Sagittarius, April is a time when you focus on your creativity, children, hobbies like leisure, romance too, and flirting and stuff. So all of those are fifth house matters. And towards the end of April, when the sun enters Taurus, you'll start more focusing on your work, everyday routine, health, and pets. So let's begin. On the very first day of April, we've got Mercury turning retrograde in Aries on the 27th degree of Aries. And so this will happen in your fifth house, which means like you will have to like go back to something like in terms of like creative projects. Maybe you've been neglecting it, and now during this time you tend to go back. Or is there something that you neglected? Now it's like the time to go back and like fix it. And generally, Mercury retrograde times are the times of miscommunication because Mercury rules communication, and so all of those Mercury ruled things tend to go like haywire. So yeah, communication problems like when you're emailing, you accidentally send it to the wrong person, or you forget to untag the person who's not supposed to see the email, or like you forget to attach the file and stuff like that. And around this time, also phones tend to malfunction. The social media apps are down a lot of, like in a lot of cases when Mercury retrograde, when Mercury is retrograde. And also, dear Sagittarius, if you are planning to travel around this time, you can expect delays, flight delays, flight cancellations. So if you are traveling, make sure you know the airline policies, because sometimes they have to reimburse you for the flight cancellation or delay. And a lot of the times the public doesn't know it because it's like hidden in small text and stuff. But there are plenty of videos on TikTok that explain these things, so do check those out. And also, there's also a higher chance of like losing your luggage. So I would suggest getting one of those Apple tags for your suitcase so you can easily locate it in case it gets lost. And what else do I need to mention? Also, during Mercury retrograde, we tend to become much more forgetful. So I would suggest creating a mini checklist for you in April, so you can check it before you leave the house each morning, or like you leave any place. Like for example, last year during Mercury retrograde, I forgot my house keys at work. Like that never happened to me before, but like, like I come home, I'm like looking for keys, and then I suddenly remember that I left it at my work on my desk. Yeah, and another time I forgot my phone at work. I had to go back and get it. Like, so ridiculous things like that can happen during Mercury retrograde. And what else? Also, there's higher chances of like being lost. Like even when you're using Google Maps, like that happened to me last year, and it was very frustrating. And so just be aware that these things are possible. And also the electronics. April is not a good time to buy electronics because they might malfunction or not last as long as they're supposed to. Like I know someone whose fridge broke during Mercury retrograde, so these things are possible. And so generally stay flexible, be patient with others and with like technology and things, and be mindful of your words and actions during this time, because Mercury is retrograding in Aries, and Aries is very impulsive and aggressive, so other people might be rude, or you might be more impatient with others in communication, so be aware of that. And so after this Mercury retrograde on April 4th or 5th, depending on where you live, Venus will enter Aries until April 29th. And Sagittarius, this is for you your fifth house. So again, as I said, it's the house of creativity, so all of the creative matters are going to get this Venusian boost, like helping you creatively. And then for others, it might be about children, like having pleasant time with children, doing artsy stuff maybe with children, going to beautiful places. So that can be a good time for bonding. And also for romance, fifth house rules romance, like when you just started dating, like when you're still deciding if you guys are going to commit or not. Fifth house rules that period. Seventh house is when you decide to commit completely. So yeah, the fifth house is like light flirtation, light dating. And what else? So generally, when Venus is transiting Aries, we all tend to become bolder, like more confident, more assertive, and more charming. Because like Venus rules romance, right? And Aries is the first sign; it's assertive. So all of us tend to become more assertive in romance. So there's possibility that someone might ask you out during this time because they are feeling brave enough to do so, or you might have the courage to ask your crush out, whatever. And so that is it for Venus in Aries. After that, on April 8th, we've got that new moon solar eclipse in Aries. This is super exciting because this eclipse is happening on the North Node. North Node eclipses are where we accept things, where we welcome new things, like new opportunities and new beginnings. And it's usually the South Node where we have to let go of something, where we have to like sacrifice something. But here, because it's North Node, we are like accepting, taking. Okay, and so that's good. And another indication for like new beginnings is because the fact that this is happening in Aries. Aries is the first sign, it's the spring sign, so like new beginnings. And also the fact that this is like a new moon solar eclipse, it's like a triple indication of something new. And so, dear Sagittarius, this is happening in your fifth house. So, as I said, like a fifth house rules children. So, some Sagittarius might decide to become parents. Other Sagittarius might have children around this time, like this year. And for others, for those Sagittarius who already do have children, it means that maybe something major happening in your children's lives. Like if they're like old enough, that this is the year probably that they get married, or that they, I don't know, start a new good career, or I don't know, like buy a first house, like so something major happening in your children's lives. For those who don't have children yet, or for those who work in the creative field, again, this is like a great indication for like art related stuff, creativity, self-expression stuff. You might have more opportunities for exhibitions, more projects, more clients, more orders, stuff like that. And for some Sagittarius, it might be the time when you find a new hobby, and you learn and develop your skills in that new hobby. So these are the possibilities. And the thing about eclipses is that they tend to repeat every 18 years. So the last time we had North Node in Aries was in 2005 and 2006. So try to remember what happened to you in your life in terms of like creativity, romance, and children back in 2005 and 2006. And also, if you want to look like more recently, that would be 9 years ago. But 9 years ago, in 2014 and 2015, South Node was in Aries and the North Node was in Libra. So back then, the focus was more on friendships, networking, hopes and wishes. But now it's the opposite house, the children, creativity. And so this solar eclipse doesn't really make any bad aspects, so that is good. It does make one major aspect, and that is a conjunction to Chiron. But since there are no bad aspects, I'm assuming that this eclipse will activate the more healing side of Chiron and not like the wounded side. So hopefully that will be good, bring some healing in that area of your life. And then, so that is it for the solar eclipse. And then on April 11th, the sun is going to be conjunct Mercury retrograde in Aries. So remember, Mercury retrograde starts when the Mercury gets a bit too far away from the sun. So during the retrograde, slowly starts marching back towards the sun. And so on April 11th is when they meet. And after this conjunction, Mercury will get behind the sun. And during this phase, Mercury will switch from evening phase to morning phase. And so that is a big shift. And so during this conjunction, there might be some clarity, understanding, but from within. Because normally when Mercury is direct and conjunct the sun, it's like on the other side of the sun from Earth's point of view. But this time, because it's retrograde, Mercury is going to be between the sun and the earth. So whatever realizations that we come to, it's going to be like internal, like from within. And generally during that day, like around April 11th, you can expect like clarity, big ideas, and leaders will probably be giving some like passionate speeches, because remember, Mercury is in Aries. And so after this, on April 19th, the sun will enter Taurus, as it always does around this time. And so the sun is going to stay in Taurus until May 20th. And it's going to leave your house of creativity and enter your house of work, co-workers, routine, your health, exercising routine, your pets. So the focus will slowly start shifting towards that area of your life. And on the same day that as the sun enters Taurus, we're gonna have the conjunction of Mercury and Venus in Aries. So communication should go smooth on that day. Compromising, reaching agreements should be easy. Well, technically Mercury is still retrograde on that day, but Venus's conjunction should be helpful. And then, so on April 20th, we finally have that conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus on the 21st degree of Taurus. And this conjunction is significant because it is quite rare. It happens once every 13 to 14 years. Last time we had this conjunction, Uranus was still in Aries and Jupiter was also in Aries back then. So, like, yeah, like, so it's been like 14 years. I kind of forgot what I was about to say. So this time it's happening in Taurus. Next time this conjunction will happen, it will be in Gemini. And so this time it will be the innovation, like Uranus rules stuff, innovation, science, technology, advancement, progress, futuristic stuff is going to be conjunct with Jupiter, the biggest planet in our solar system. And it's the greater benefic. So whatever Jupiter touches, it expands, makes it big. Like bold changes, big innovations in Taurus ruled areas. Like Taurus rules finances, food industry, and stuff like that, and resources. So big advancements, big changes in that area in general. But for you, in specifically, dear Sagittarius, this conjunction is happening in your house of health, work, pets, employees, routine. All right, so maybe there will be some changes in like I don't know, in your exercising regime, or like maybe some exciting big changes at work in a positive way. It's not going to be like negative because of Jupiter's presence. So yeah, you can expect like a burst of excitement, adventure, like bold changes in that area of your life. And so, one day after this conjunction, we've got a bit of a crappy aspect. The Sun in Taurus will be making a square aspect to Pluto in Aquarius, on the second degree of Aquarius. So, this can be a bit of a power struggle day, but thankfully, it's not going to last for a long time. This aspect is active for like 3 days maximum, and after that, it will fade. And then on April 23rd, we've got a full moon in Scorpio, on the fourth degree of Scorpio. And dear Sagittarius, this is your 12th house, the very last house in your chart. It's the most isolated isolated part in our chart. It's like the deepest part of ourselves. It's our subconscious, dreams, psychology, like hidden stuff. So you've got a full moon in there. So the sun will be shining in your sixth house of everyday routine, and the full moon will be illuminating your house of like rest, subconscious, like isolation, meditation, spirituality. So there will be a need for balance between those two areas of your life, like between work and rest. So like that might be the time when you need to rest, maybe come to some sort of like understanding of your subconscious. Maybe there will be more prominent dreams around this time. And generally, during full moons, people are moody, emotional, so be patient with others and with yourself. Because we are like 60% water, 70%, so basically mostly water. So we are influenced by the moon cycles, and so just be aware. And so the effect of the full moon should last for about 4 days, and so towards the end of April, like we should be calm again. And what else was I going to say? So this full moon is the first full moon since the Libra lunar eclipse in March. And so sometimes the effects of that lunar eclipse tend to play out during the next full moon. So if nothing happened to you in March and you're like, well, what did this eclipse bring? Well, it might be happening around this full moon. Yeah, like it's possible for some Sagittariuses. And another thing I need to note about this full moon is that some Sagittarius have placements in Scorpio. Like maybe your Venus in Scorpio, maybe your Mercury, maybe your moon, or maybe even your rising sign in Scorpio. So if you have those placements around the 4th degree of Scorpio, you are going to feel this full moon more than other Sagittariuses. And what else? On April 25th, Mercury goes direct in Aries, finally. No, like the period of confusion, misunderstandings, forgetfulness is finally going to come to an end. But I wouldn't jump to signing agreements, contracts right away after Mercury turns direct, because Mercury is going to spend a week or two, a couple of weeks in the shadow zone. So I would suggest waiting until May or even mid-May, preferably, to sign contracts. But even if you have to sign it in April, don't worry too much, because last year I signed my work contract during Mercury retrograde and I was freaking out. I'm like, oh my god, will it mean I'm not gonna work until the end of the contract, or will it mean I quit or be fired before the end of the contract? But no, actually at the time of my signing the contract, my employer said that they're negotiating a new contract with increased salary. So they said just sign this one, and then when we finally reach the agreement, you will sign the new contract. So, and that's what actually happened to me. So don't worry too much if you have to sign it. But at the same time, I must warn you that the negative might also happen if you sign it in April. For example, 5 years ago, I signed work contract again during Mercury retrograde, and I quit that job before the end of the contract. Yeah, so that is also a possibility. Just be careful when you sign it and make sure you know all the details, make sure you understand all the terms and agreements. And so that is it for Mercury retrograde. And then on April 29th, Venus will enter Taurus until May 23rd. So Venus will leave your 5th house of romance, creativity, and enter your work house, everyday routine house. So doing the everyday routine chores is going to become more pleasant, because Venus is very pleasant. It's a very charming planet. Wherever it is, it brings peace, harmony, balance. It beautifies its surroundings. So I would say when Venus is transiting Taurus, work life will feel pleasant. Interactions with coworkers will be pleasant. And then on April 30th, Mars will enter Aries until June 9th, and that will inject us with energy. We all will become energetic. And for you, dear Sagittarius, for you, this will be your 5th house. So it will activate your 5th house matters, like creativity, maybe feeling more energetic to do creative stuff, maybe doing active stuff with your children, going to events, going hiking with children, doing sports with children. Because Mars energy is very hyperactive. It's it makes things happen in whatever house it is in. And then for single Scorpios, not Scorpios, so single Sagittarius, might be the time when romantic life becomes more active thanks to Mars. So this is it for April. As you can see, there's a lot happening, and remember, we are in the eclipse season. So the energy is hectic. Our routine is a bit off because of all the changes that are happening. But don't worry, towards the middle of May, we should have gotten used to the new normal. We will get used to all the changes that were brought by the eclipses by then. And also, the dust will settle by then. And so we should have relative stability until September, because that's when we'll have the next eclipses. So thank you for watching, dear Sagittarius. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in my solar eclipse video and in my May video. Bye.